Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, The Impact of the Voluntary Sector in Creating Employment. My name is Michael Hollinger and I'm a Development Officer at SCVO. And today, not only are we showcasing how the sector can be a great career pathway for young people, but celebrating over 10,255 jobs SCVO and the sector have created via Community Jobs Scotland and the level of support our employers have given young people. We will look at how we engaged in the future through No One Left Behind and working with LEPs and local authorities to ensure high quality provision. And just to give you some information on today, we will be recording the session today, but please use the chat and Q&A function throughout the session to ask your questions and to let us know any views that you have. These will be answered online, but we'll also reply to some of the questions at the end of the Q&A, which we will open up some more conversation. We have a busy schedule, so to get us moving, I'll pass over to Lorna Forrest. Lorna is the Head of Service Delivery and Improvement at SCVO, and Lorna will set the scene for today.
Thank you, Michael. Hello and welcome everybody. I think there's a few folks still joining us, so hello to those just joining us now. I'm going to just show 2 or 3 slides if that's okay, and set a bit of context, set the scene for today's session, and then hand over to others to tell us their stories really. So I'm going to pop up some slides in the background. So really this webinar has come about as a culmination of a number of things. First of all, as Michael said, in September, we celebrated a huge milestone for Community Jobs Scotland and celebrating our 10,000th CGS employee. And this was, we held a debate in Parliament in September. Can everybody hear me okay? I'm just checking there's difficulties with hearing. I'm going to assume that everybody else can hear me fine, but jump in if you can't. Okay, I'm going to keep going because I think it's just an individual that's having problems, so I'll keep going. So yes, we had a debate in Parliament in September with cross-party support celebrating the successes of CGS. We also had the anniversary of the Young Person's Guarantee on the 5th of November this year, followed by Scotland's first ever Careers Week, the week beginning the 15th of November, where several third sector organisations collaborated on skills and careers related activity, some of which we will see today. We also had the ministerial decision around the implementation of No One Left Behind. That's phase 2 of Scottish Government's employability policy. And we're not going to go into any depth with that today. But if you do want to find out more, you can watch the recording of an event that was held last week by the Third Sector Employability Forum. And I'll pop a link to the recording of that into the chat. So welcome to lots of attendees here today from a wide variety of sectors, actually. We did expect to have a lot of third sector employers join us, which we have, that's great. But we're also delighted to welcome an equal number of other stakeholders with an interest in the role that the third sector can play in the economy. That's including local authorities, DWP, SDS, members of local employability partnerships and third sector interfaces. So welcome to you all. We wanted to hold today as a celebration event, showing how third sector employers can support the career progression of people, but particularly young people, and in particular how the sector focuses on supporting those hardest to reach. Now you'll see some stats on the screen here, and I do parade these stats fairly regularly, but I don't apologise for it because I think the importance of the voluntary sector as an employer is often underestimated, and some of these numbers are pretty impressive. I will share these slides afterwards, by the way. The Scottish voluntary sector encompasses more than 40,000 organisations, from grassroots community groups and village hall committees to 6,000 social enterprises, nearly 25,000 registered national charities and over 100 credit unions. Together, they work with over 1.4 million volunteers and have a combined annual turnover of over 6 billion, employing over 100,000 paid staff. Now, to put that into perspective, this is more than the 86,000 people employed in financial services. It also makes us the same size as the digital tech industry in Scotland and bigger than the creative gaming industry. So this kind of sets the backdrop really to highlight the role and value of the sector in supporting employability, but also equally as employers themselves. I think the recent labour market stats perhaps showed that employment hasn't perhaps taken the downward dip direction that we might have expected it to as a result of the pandemic. In fact, there were huge turnover and flows into work as we exited lockdown, which has in fact driven down unemployment and supported jobs recovery. In our own Good Moves service here at SCVO, there's been nearly 5,000 jobs advertised in this calendar year alone by about 1,200 organisations. This is up 45% on last year and up 30% on pre-pandemic levels. The average job on our site generates about 1,000 views, sometimes significantly more, and we've got 85,000 unique users on Good Moves. But, and I suppose this is the critical part for us, there's still across the UK 500,000 fewer people in work, record vacancies, but of course signs of widening gaps and disadvantage. So although unemployment can't really fall much further, we know we're doing nowhere near enough for certain groups of people, including older people, disadvantaged young people, those with disabilities and health conditions, and parents, to name but a few. So we've been warned that we need to raise participation and that inclusive recruitment and support in work need to be top priorities across all sectors. But of course, we know this is an area where the voluntary sector already excels. Some of the best outcomes of employability support are demonstrated by the services offered by providers and employers themselves in the third sector. And the focus is usually on the cohort of people who are struggling to access and sustain employment pre-COVID, even when opportunities existed due to the individual barriers they faced. Also, the support provided by voluntary organisations prior to employment support is also significant and yet often dismissed. Many people will need help with basic life skills before they're ready to enter employment, and organisations across the sector are currently providing this support to many people, but often this work is not recognised as a key stage in the process. We know that should change to ensure that employment support truly focuses on a person's entire journey, helping them to achieve their potential and lead a better life. So moving on to the next slide, I just wanted to provide a quick snapshot here. You'll see this table in the next slide. Don't worry about the detail, but there is a bit of a funky tool on SCVO's website where you can drill down to find out what voluntary sector stats there are in your local authority area. I don't know if the slides have moved on yet, but if you could please move them on. Again, I'll pop a link to this in the chat so that you can access it yourself. It breaks down how many charities, the income levels, the number of paid staff and trustees in each local authority area. So my last slide, if we can move on, is I just wanted to mention a bit about CGS itself. As CGS sadly comes to a close in March 2022, we've been reflecting on some of its achievements and lessons learned. Our employers tell us that young people secure and sustain better outcomes when they have the continuity of a trusted relationship to help overcome barriers. The need for this support in parallel to job opportunities must be recognised and can be supported by our sector. The needs of the people we support are rarely linear, uniform, or neatly boxed, and they may complete a variety of programmes, placements, interventions before finding the right outcome, and then they may return for support in the future if their circumstances change, and support should be flexible enough to accommodate this. By the time that CGS as a Scottish Government national funded programme ends in March, we will have delivered 11 years of the programme, managed centrally by us, but essentially delivered locally by local employers and investing over 80 million into job creation in the third sector. As Michael noted, we'll have offered 10,255 people across every local authority, as on the slide there, a job ranging from 26 to 78 weeks with over 1,300 voluntary sector organisations. So I'd just like to extend a really warm thanks to everyone involved, from the employers themselves and the partners on the call today, and in particular from me to the team at SCVO, who are so committed and remain so committed to the aims of CGS. Our evaluation has highlighted that the third sector brings benefits that are not replicated in any other employability programmes, and that a large proportion of our participants would not have been able to take on a similar job or placement in a private or public sector setting. The third sector employers see themselves as having a key empathetic role in supporting people. And there are instances, in fact, where CGS employers have at interview selected the person they judge to be furthest away from the labour market so that they can maximise the impact with that young person. And the recognition from the community is also a really key part of the scheme, and the feedback. As people who previously saw the young people as perhaps not contributing much to society could now see where they were capable of doing so given the right opportunity. So we'll share our evaluation, we'll share our case studies, we'll share our employer feedback, and of course this recording with stakeholders, and particularly those who couldn't attend today, including local authority employability leads, LEPs and the Young Persons Guarantee team, so that future provision can be informed by those who have lived and breathed it. If you're a third sector organisation on the call today and you want to inform or keep up with these developments, I'd urge you to join the Third Sector Employability Forum if you haven't already, as it's a free community of interest and provides a platform for that collective voice and discussion. Again, I'll pop a link to that in the chat. But enough from me. The importance, I guess, of this event is to hear the stories straight from the mouths of those who've experienced the value of the sector, either as an employer telling us what they do to support young people, or as individuals themselves who have carved a career in the sector thanks to these employers. So I'm keen that we all reflect during the session about the future role of the third sector and what role that should be in the provision of career support, employability support, and ultimately employment. So thank you, Francis, for sharing the slides. Back to you, Michael.
Thanks very much, Lorna, for a very comprehensive overview and some great facts and figures there for us to digest. No doubt some questions will follow the information that you shared with us. I'm glad to say that we've got Fiona Perry back with us. We'd lost her internet connection, but I'm delighted that Fiona's back. And Fiona has worked for East Ayrshire Carers Centre for over 16 years and is a co-chief executive officer with experience in managing the Alpha Venture Project, employability programs, social enterprise initiatives, young carer services, hospital and GP initiatives, and adult carer support services. Fiona is a great advocate for supporting young people to sustain employment in the sector, and she's going to take us back a wee bit further than Community Jobs Scotland to talk about a couple of young people and bring us up to the future and the present day, and how the East Ayrshire Care Centre have supported and helped young people and what their role is now and where they hope to be in the future. So I'll pass over to Fiona.
Thanks for the introduction, Michael. Good morning, everybody. So I'm with East Ayrshire Carer Centre, and primarily we're all about supporting young carers and adult carers that are looking after a member of their family that's got an illness or a disability and would struggle to manage at home without some additional support from family. We've been in the go for over 25 years now, and our employability programme has been up and running for just over 13 years. And it was interesting to see from Lorna's slide there that we've actually supported 400 young people through initially Future Job Fund, then on to Community Jobs Scotland, now have Kickstart employees. We have about an 84% success rate with the young people we work with going on to move into another outcome or another job. We're quite lucky that we have 5 centres in East Ayrshire that we work out of. We're based in Kilmarnock, Cumnock, Demellington. We also have a small hotel in Demellington. where we run hospitality training out of. So we're able to give young people that want to come and work with us and get work experience quite a variety of kind of experience that they can then take out into that big wide world of work out there. I'm going to speak a wee bit about some of the success stories we have had. We've had many over the years, but one particular young lad came to us over 10 years ago through Future Job Fund. He is still working with our organisation. He leads his own project. He mentors and trains most of our young people that we now get in through either Community Jobs Scotland or the Kickstart programme, what we call our Alpha Venture Employability programme. We also take young people on as trainees where they can come in and gain work or volunteering experiences within all our centres. And we do link up with other organisations within East Ayrshire. We're part of East Ayrshire's employability pipeline to source options and outcomes for them throughout the whole of East Ayrshire, linking in with some of the other voluntary and public sector organisations in East Ayrshire. But David came to us as a young lad. We saw a spark in him and we trained him up on the benefit side of the work we do. And he is now what we call our benefit guru. And as I say, trains many of our main workers that come into the organisation as well as our trainees on the kind of benefit system and the completion of benefit forms, etc. And is a great mentor for us and an advocate for our organisation. He also has a very heavy caring role himself, which he juggles with his workload, so he gets support from us as an organisation. So very all-rounded worker. And then more recently we have another young girl that came to us through Kickstart, who again had been a young carer with us from the age of 8. She'd left school, went on to college. Through lockdown, college courses get disrupted. She didn't complete it, didn't really have any idea where she wanted to go. So we had a Kickstart post available, working with our young carers and doing admin work within one of our centres. And she started with us. And from that, we managed to source some additional funding, and she has now been working with us for the last 4 months on a full-time basis as a young carer peer mentor. And she's involved in going into the schools to identify young people that are young carers and working with kind of 16, 17 and 18-year-olds within the schools who, again, maybe are not going to receive a qualification in leaving school and don't really know what they want to do. So she goes in and works with them and see if we can do some training programmes within the schools or offer work experiences either within our own centres or with other local organisations. And she just took to the job like a duck to water, as they say, and has been a great asset to the organisation. And again, she's only been with us coming up in 10 months, but she's already started working with some of our new trainees and training them in the job she's doing as well, and how to support carers. So I would say we have a very good mentoring programme for moving our young people on and for keeping them with us. Actually, nearly half of our workforce are under the age of 25, and we have another 5 members of staff who have all started with us as a trainee, whether it was through Future Job Fund, Community Jobs or Kickstart, who are still employed with us on a full-time basis and managing their own projects. So as I say, I would say we've got quite a good success rate of what we do. We have a really good relationship with our local authority. We started out with Future Job Fund through the local authority. That was over 10 years ago. We have had European social funding for about the last 7 or 8 years through our local authority that we match fund with work we do with Inspiring Scotland, who have funded us for over 13 years now with our employability programme. Initially that was through the 14-19 fund, where we worked with young people within school and ready to leave school, and then once they had left school. And through getting the additional funding, we've been able to up our age limit to 25. The young carers we work with come to us from the age of 5, so we do get to know our young people very, very well. So when it comes time to them transition, whether that's from primary to secondary school and then later on in their life, transitioning from secondary school into maybe college or into the world of work, we know the background, we know the families, and we're able to offer very bespoke support to these young people. But again, over the years, we've moved away from just supporting unpaid carers, and we really support any young person within school who's struggling, who doesn't really know what direction they want to take, and again, who's just maybe looking in that wee bit of additional support. And I think our fear is going forward that we've had so many young people who have disengaged with school during lockdown. I don't think it's something that we can't talk about within the employability area of work that we're all doing, and the knock-on effect that's going to have for their confidence for going out to try and find work in the future. And I think there's more and more need for organisations like ours to offer that bespoke additional support to young people, where we can mentor them on a one-to-one basis and understand their barriers and their needs, and I would say in the initial stages we are quite flexible with our young people and their kind of work patterns until we can get them into the way of not phoning in sick and making sure they're in at their start time and following the days that they're on a rota to do. It can be a bit tricky initial stages. I'm not saying this is an easy ride. Anybody out there that's wanting to take on young people and work with them. But it is very, very rewarding when you see some of the end results we've had, and some of the good news stories even out with our organisation, where young people have moved on and are now doing managerial posts within the sector that they've moved on into. I say very proud of all of them, and we do get to keep in touch with them because most of them remain in our generic carers organisational support, because they still have caring roles, so we do still see them even though they've maybe moved on from our employability programme, and they like to pop in and just tell us what they're doing and how proud they are of themselves as well. So we have a good working relationship with our local authority. We've just entered into another tender bid, hoping to get some further funding to continue to do the work we're doing. But Community Jobs Scotland and Kickstart have made an amazing difference to the work we can do within our organisations. It gives us these additional bodies that can staff, and for the carers that come in, new faces that they can talk to, and our carers, young and old, always like to know about them, and our young people get to know everything there is to know about the carers as well, and are able to offer a good holistic all-round service. So that's a kind of whirlwind tour of what we do at East Ayrshire Carer Centre with the young people we support. Thank you.
Fiona, thanks very much for that. I know I will be coming back to pose you a question in the Q&A, but if other people have any questions, please feel free to drop them into the chat for us to answer. Moving on, we're keeping the success stories going, but we're going to show a short film. It's a young man, Callum Gibson, who started on phase 1 of Community Jobs Scotland 11 years ago. Callum's story is a great story of how someone can engage with the sector, and Callum's role is starting, I believe, as an administrator. He's now the National Training Officer for Apex. So we'll show you this short film, and then we'll have a couple of more speakers.
What would I say to someone leaving school, want to work in the third sector? I would say go for it. It's really rewarding. How to get into it? I would say get in touch with people, put yourself out there, find out what local third sector organisations there are, find out what type of stuff they do, is it something you're interested in, and just pester them, pick up the phone, go and see them, send them an email, see if there's any opportunities, maybe start volunteering or start at the bottom and work your way up. I was a young person not long out of college, and I got an opportunity at Apex Scotland through the Community Jobs Scotland scheme, and I got my start as an administrator here at Apex. Back then, before I got the opportunity, I guess I just didn't really know where I was or where I was going, what I wanted to do. What I had maybe done before hadn't really sat right with me or wasn't really for me. The opportunity that I eventually got gave me that wee bit of direction and motivation and pushed me the right way. Right now, I'm a National Training Officer at Apex Scotland, so I do a lot of the staff training internally here at Apex. I do training with external partners. We've got a really diverse set of colleagues here at Apex, loads of different backgrounds, specialties, areas of knowledge and experience, and even more so with the clients we work with. I've came the whole journey through Apex really. I started off as an administrator, just doing whatever I needed to do, you know, starting off at the bottom and working your way up. It really amazed me how many people work their way up in the third sector from volunteering, from lower level positions, like I did. You know, you don't need to go and get big fancy degrees from college or uni to get yourself in a good place in the third sector. There's good opportunities out there.
That message that Callum presented at the very end there is that the third sector is a great place to work your way up, and I think that'll be echoed as we continue this journey of the success that we've had. To follow on from Callum, we've got two of Callum's colleagues attending today. Fiona Dalgleish, who's the centre coordinator at Apex, and Kelly Warlow, a previous CGS employee. Fiona started work with Apex in January 2009, originally as a volunteer, but not long after starting, she secured a post in September that year, and she's now the centre coordinator for Dumfries and Galloway. Fiona has mentored 6 CGS employees, and one of them has been Kelly, who is an Apex at Stranraer now just for over 2 years. Kelly started on a 6-month CGS contract and now works 3 days per week as the administrator, but also shares her time another 2 days a week working in the food bank for Apex down in Dumfries and Galloway. So I'll pass you over to Fiona and Kelly to give you a wee insight of how they have found Community Jobs Scotland and working in the sector.
Kelly, do you want to speak about your experience first?
Yes, of course, that's fine.
You speak about your experience first as being like an employee, and then I'll speak about my experience as mentoring employees.
Okay, guys. So, hello everyone, my name's Kelly and I work at Apex Scotland in Stranraer. So basically growing up, I grew up with a family member who had issues with drugs. So I always knew that when it was time for me to find work, that I would love to work with people who had issues with drugs or alcohol or any other addictions, or people that found themselves in poverty. So when I found out about the Community Jobs Scotland scheme for Apex, I was in there straight away. I made sure that I revised like my weaknesses and my strengths for the interview, and I just made sure I went in there and got the job. And here I am 2 years later, bossing my career. So within the 6 months, I took on so many training courses, like first aid, food and hygiene, child protection, and a lot of others. The biggest thing for me was definitely my confidence. I had suffered with like a little bit of anxiety, but within that 6 months, I kind of got the old Kelly back again. So my time was nearly up, the 6 months was nearly over, and I remember saying to Vari that I don't want to leave yet, I want to keep learning and keep progressing, and she managed to secure more funding for myself until March 2022. So I remember writing in the family group chat that I was being kept on and everyone was so proud of me. So I was extremely over the moon. Currently at the minute, I do 3 days of my admin work and 2 days of being the food bank role. Only got that job about 2 months ago, so it was another big step in my career. So at the minute, we are also doing, I think it's about 50 bags for Christmas. So we're issuing these Christmas bags to clients, and we've just kind of put in like lots of little goodies in them for clients to open on like Christmas Day. So that's another good thing. At the minute, I'm also doing an SQA hire admin course. Been doing it since January, and due to finish up January 2022. So I've got like another month or two to go. It's been quite challenging, kind of doing that and working in the office, kind of making time for both. And if it wasn't for the Community Jobs Scotland scheme, I don't really know where I would be at the minute. I'm also a single parent, been a single parent for maybe 5-6 years, so it's kind of challenging as well, kind of making sure my little boy's looked after and working 29 hours per week. That's me.
Thanks very much, Kelly. Kelly, as Michael had said about myself, I started in 2009 as a volunteer, as I worked in the evening, so I dedicated my daytime to volunteering in administration in the Dumfries office. I secured a 17.5-hour post that year as administration, and then in the January of the following year, I secured a 30-hour post, and then it went to centre coordinator, or basically there wasn't a position. So I applied for that, got that. So it's centre coordinator for Dumfries and Galloway. What that kind of means is that overall we do have a service development manager that is situated in Stranraer, which is Vary Ross. So I'm like her deputy, if you will. So I am involved in the Dumfries office and sometimes, depending, in the Stranraer office. The Community Jobs Scotland people that I've had started off initially when it was only 6 months posts. So I've had about 5 people that has came through, and every one of them has went on, thankfully, to actually gain employment. And also some of one of the girls that I had as Community Jobs Scotland as well, I managed to secure her a post. Unfortunately, she's no longer with us, but she was with us for a couple of years. So I find the scheme absolutely invaluable, because what it can do for these young people, especially as Kelly had mentioned, their confidence and their capabilities, and the support that we offer is just, it's a lot of it's like your, what we would call non-outcome support. It's all these soft outcomes, like hoping to build up their confidence, like help them to plan, organise, be reliable, show what initiative is. Lots and lots of things that a lot of people just take for granted, or they may have in their arsenal anyway. But we try and draw that out from these young people, and it does actually make a difference. And actually having someone that's young and wants to learn, like Kelly is a perfect example, that she has just been so enthusiastic. I had the pleasure when Kelly first started to go to Stranraer and start like teaching her some of the policies and procedures, that what happens in my office, and I took that to her, and she's just come on leaps and bounds. But the actual scheme is invaluable in what it does for the young people that come in Apex. And I think third sector, I totally agree, third sector does tend to support them more, maybe because we have more time and we just operate in a different way.
Thanks very much, Fiona, and thank you very much, Kelly. I think you touched on so much there. I'm giving insight how, as the role changes and no one left behind kicks in, with the young person's guarantee, but also no one left behind, we can look at how people of all ages can use the voluntary sector as a great pathway into a career. Kelly also touched on so many barriers that young people face in moving into employment, or people of all ages face moving into employment. And it does show that we can do it through the sector. When Fiona finished up there saying maybe we've got more time, I don't think we have time, because I don't think we've ever stopped in the sector, but we still have that empathy of engaging with people that maybe do need that wee bit of support. And the results are there to be seen. Just even getting back on what Danny had mentioned about working with people with convictions, I think our record is testament to how we can move young males and females from custody into jobs, and we have a great track record there, and it's something that we can continue to support, and hopefully will support with organisations like Scottish Prison Service, etc. We can support and guide, so we're always an option there for the LEPs and for DYW, etc., to signpost people to the sector and to organisations who, again, have the empathy and the understanding of young people. And just to keep the success stories going, the young man going to speak to us now, Cameron Smith. Cameron is a development officer at the Scottish Commission for People with Learning Disabilities. Having left school and then went on to support an employment project, Cameron joined SCLD as a receptionist 6 years ago. His skills, ability and enthusiasm have seen him change job roles several times. Each new role bringing opportunities, challenges and responsibilities. I suppose Cameron's role allows him to use his natural ability as a leader and a model to support others with learning disabilities to take advantage of opportunities to learn. We've had great support working with organisations throughout the country, such as Project Surge, such as SCLD, and others assisting young people with learning disabilities to move into and sustain employment. And I think Cameron will explain a wee bit more about his role and how he now has a great career created in the sector. So I'll pass over to you, Cameron.
Thank you so much, Michael, and thank you, SCVO, for inviting me along today. I'm hoping everyone can hear me because I've switched headphones when we were doing the break. So, as Michael said, I am Cameron Smith, and I am SLD's development worker here at SLD. So I'm just going to say just a little bit about SLD because I can put the link to our website in the chat later on as well. So we are the Scottish Commission for People with Learning Disabilities. So this picture here in front of you illustrates what we're all about. We're a values-based organisation. So kind of our values are the foundation of everything that we do. And two key pillars of our work, which are pillars here and in here, are safeguarding and human rights, and this is to promote the well-being of people with learning disabilities and empower them to lead their best lives as well. So I thought this slide was really important, which is the employment rates of people with learning disabilities in Scotland. This source came from the Learning Disability Statistics Scotland data that we SLD collected in 2019. And 2019, it was recorded it's 4.1% of all adults with learning disabilities and or autism are known to local authorities that are in employment. That's really, really low. We're hoping that when we see the next data, it will come up again. But SLD are working on a range of employment projects to try to improve this statistic as well. So I thought I might be a little bit helpful for you to talk to you about what helped me in my journey to work. I have a learning disability, I have dyslexia, and I've also got dyspraxia as well. So here's a little bit about my journey. So I left school in 2013 and went on to do an internship at Project Search. So just a wee bit of information about Project Search. So it's a one-year internship that first started in Ohio in the United States in 1996. During the internship, there was a mixture of between classroom learning and work placements, which I will go on and explain about in a wee minute. Project Search ones across Scotland and Europe now as well, and in Scotland, Project Search ones in a college year, so between August and June as well. So the rotations that I did at Project Search is I did my internship at Haymarket Hospital in South Lanarkshire, and my first rotation I did 3 days in audiology and 2 days in orthopaedics. This is not normal for me to do two work placements during rotations, but that's because audiology was only 1 and 3 days a week, so I had to go to orthopaedics, but that was quite good because I got to learn different skills as well. My second rotation is portering. I didn't finish this because I got a part-time receptionist role with SLD on a 2-year fixed term contract, this was funded by the Community Jobs Scotland Fund as well. What I should have said about rotations is it's 12 weeks, so it's 12 weeks at a time here as well. I think it's either 12 or 8 weeks, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head as well. And you have a review of your rotations as well. So during your rotations, you and the lecturer sits down and talks about it as well. So during my first time at SLD, I done my SVQ level 2 and 3 in business and administration. And between October 2016 and January 2021, I was the events information assistant, but now I'm the development worker here at SLD. So working at SLD, I've learned kind of a lot of skills, like working as part of a team, prioritising work, problem solving and communication skills, and patience. And I'll just now go on and tell you what I do at SLD as well. So I'm the first point of contact for visitors and staff, those coming into the organisation and those telephoning into the organisation as well. I provide administration and support, project supports to all of our hubs and advisors. Another way to say this is our hubs, the hubs in SLD are teams in SLD, and advisors are people who lead the teams as well. So, and I also provide the team with technology support. I co-produce and co-deliver presentations digitally and face-to-face like today. I support my CEO's diary and I do social media at events as well. So this is what I do at SLD, but now here's what SLD has done for me. I thought I would keep these in because it's quite important actually. So SLD has learned more about dyslexia and dyspraxia, knowing how to support somebody in the workplace with a learning disability, and including what's out there, including access to work, which I will go on and mention about in a wee minute as well, learning all about computers and technology as well. So it's just a wee bit about everyone's favourite word, COVID, at the moment as well. So within a week of lockdown last year, we went from being in the office as a team to working from home on our own. Obviously, like most organisations, all SLD staff are working from home and our office is closed because of COVID-19. Not working from the office does not mean we've stopped hosting our meetings and events. Our meetings that we're hosting have been done through Microsoft Teams and Zoom, and we're still attending external meetings also as well. We also have regular virtual coffee breaks with colleagues as well. This is quite important nowadays because you're not seeing each other as well. I'm still the first point of contact for the organisation on the phone system, and I'm still the first point of contact for any inquiries as well. The major change has been technology, which was not a problem for me, but was quite a challenge for some members of the team as well. So just a couple of things that couple of new things that I did during lockdown, but I'm still doing for today. we introduced a new internet phone system, and I trained the team in installing and using this. I obviously supported team members who have not used Microsoft Teams before and learning how to operate all the functions. I was a key member of the project team who introduced GoToWebinar, and I was responsible for downloading the analytics from webinars to share with SLD's development manager as well. So I don't let anything hold me back. I'm enthusiastic, reliable, and do the best I can with whatever jobs needs done. But sometimes I have difficulty remembering things. I get words muddled up sometimes and struggle a little bit with spelling. They look all right to me, but not to other people. I can struggle if I'm also given too much information at the one time, or if someone asks me to do more than 2 jobs at the one time as well. This stresses me and I get frustrated. I might not do the job just as well. If someone takes the time and gives me one instruction at a time and is really clear about what they want me to do, I can move on and I can rattle through the task quickly and move on to the next one as well. It takes time to learn the rules at work. The one thing that makes the biggest difference to me is having supported colleagues who understand my learning disability and give me the little bit of support that I need. They're in because I got all the jobs done for them. I do it well and get great feedback for the work I do. Like everyone, sometimes I might not get it right, and over the time, my confidence is gone. Now I ask anyone if they need a hand in the office, or if I have some spare time or don't have enough to do. It can take time for people with learning disabilities to be confident enough to ask for help. The best thing you can do is make sure that person has someone they can go to. You can hold that person a buddy. My buddy is the person that I check in with and keep me on track and make sure I've got a clear work plan. They are my go-to person if I've got any questions. Unless someone tells me, I might not be able to see what needs done. My main buddy now is Christine, is my line manager, Katrina. She keeps it right all the time. So here are some of the things that helped me in my work experience and now helped me in my job. There were other supports I get at work, which I'll go on and tell you about in a minute. So I'm just conscious of time, so I'll quickly run through these. So I have a quick catch-up meeting with my line manager every morning. I have a daily task lists. I have a clear priority of tasks. I work with checklists to make sure things are done. I do one thing at a time. I'm also confident and to ask members of the team for help. So just a couple of more other things as well. I ask my colleagues to send me a quick email about what they want me to do. This helps me check I get everything done. When I don't understand something, knowing who to talk to about it. And again, when I feel overwhelmed and there are too many things happening, knowing who to ask for help. And if I don't have enough to do, letting them know who to go to let them know as well. Something quickly that I want to mention as well is access to work. So I got some funding through access to work, and my access to work application didn't take that long. Actually, it took about 15 minutes to do, and then I had somebody coming out to SLD's office, and they sat down with me, and we had almost like a kind of workplace interview, kind of assessment as well. And by doing that, I managed to get a couple of things that I use that I didn't really use during COVID, but I'm now back using as well. So, for example, I got some coloured overlays. I got access to the text help read and write software, which means that somebody is reading something back to me that I've written electronically as well. I got a Live Sky pen, which is helpful for me when I go to meetings as well. And I didn't do this all on my own. I also got some neurodiversity workplace training as well through Colourfield training as well. So these are the things that I got through access to work that helped me in my everyday job as well. And that's the end of my presentation. I'll put my email address in the chat as well, and I'll put a website in the chat if anyone wants to contact me about anything. And I'm going to hand now back over to Michael. Thank you for listening.
Cameron, what can I say? It's always great to listen to somebody with lived experience, and to listen to your journey it's great. I think you can be very proud of yourself and what you have achieved, and it makes me smile when I hear stories from young people like yourself who, through the programme that we deliver, have progressed and are now key in supporting other young people or other people with learning disabilities. So as I say, you can't beat hearing it from the horse's mouth, as I say, but your story there was superb. And I think what it also does highlight is that if you do invest in young people and support them, what you'll get back multiple times more than what you invest. And I don't know how you have enough time in the day from just looking at your job description. I hope my line manager and Lorna aren't looking too closely, but I do compared to you, because that was mind blowing. But thanks very much. And if people want to fire in questions to Cameron and that there, please feel free to do so. We're going to go back to another short film about how to progress a career in the voluntary sector again, from Lucy McQuaid at Young Enterprise Scotland. So I'll get Francis to load that up and show the film.
My advice for anyone leaving school and unsure about where they want to go next is that university and college isn't for everyone. You might want to go straight into the workforce, and a career in the third sector is a great career choice. It may not be the highest paid or the most high profile role, but it's so fulfilling, and it's something that I'm delighted I've had the opportunity to do. There's a lot to be said for doing a job that you enjoy rather than doing something that becomes work. Not every day feels like work, and I absolutely love working for the organisation that I work for. I started my career in the third sector back in 2016. I had left school, gone to university and got a degree in journalism. I was then graduating at the same time as being made redundant, so that was a really awkward time for me. It was really difficult, it really knocked my confidence, and I really struggled with applying for jobs and just deciding what I wanted to do. I came across the Community Jobs Scotland scheme with a vacancy for Young Enterprise Scotland, so I joined the team as a communications executive, managing the social media, the emails, all the communications going out online. This then changed and I became a programme executive, so I was then delivering in schools. And again, this was really difficult because it was something I'd never done before. It was a bit of a challenge, but I was really supported. In 2020, I joined the Scotland's Enterprise in Schools project as a project executive, and I now deliver CLPL sessions for teachers and practitioners right across the country. Through the support of the organisation, I've been able to develop my communication skills. I've met loads of really different people. I've had great opportunities to engage right across communities and sectors. My leadership skills as well have really had a boost. I had the opportunity to run the first Youth Enterprise Festival in Scotland. In the future, I'd love to kind of explore more about the kind of communication side of third sector organisations. It's something that is really important to get messages out there. It's really important that people understand as well that third sector organisations aren't just your kind of typical charities fundraising, that it's all about kind of supporting people, offering something better and helping them improve themselves as well.
Sorry, I forgot to mute there. Again, although a very short film, like Callum, Kelly and Cameron, I think that what we saw from Lucy was the impact that supporting and giving young people experience particularly young people that are struggling to get into the labour market, that by engaging with the sector, they can do so much. The confidence from the 4 young people that we have heard from today is unbelievable. But I think all would say that before they started in programmes with third sector organisations, they certainly weren't at that level, and they've developed. And again, whilst we've had some young people that maybe have been to college and been to university, we've also seen where young people maybe didn't achieve at school or needed additional support at school. But through the support of the sector, there's a great pathway. And I hope this doesn't go amiss when No One Left Behind rolls out a wee bit further and come April next year, when the LEPs are taking on more responsibility for employability, that they realise the impact that the sector has and the impact that it can bring to young people. And as we know, young people are our future, so we really need them. I'm going to pass over now to somebody who's a lot more experience and a lot more knowledge of young people. I'm working with young people through enterprise, and it's Jeff Leask. Jeff has over 20 years experience of working in young enterprise arena. He was previously with the Princess Scottish Youth Business Trust in various roles. I'm on to serve as a director, and he's now with Young Enterprise Scotland as chief executive. I suppose the best way I can sum up Jeff is he gets it regarding young people. He really knows how to support them and what they need. So I'll pass over to Jeff.
Thank you very much, Michael, and first prize to you for the best dressed Christmas tree there this year on the screen shot. I just want to probably join the dots there, firstly by connecting the last video that we saw, which was with Lucy. And I remember actually sitting outside on one of the sort of picnic benches at our centre at Rookinglen with Lucy, and having her first informal interview as part of that Community Jobs Scotland recruitment process, and seeing somebody who was filled with talent and enthusiasm within her, but just not having the route to display that. And having just been made redundant by, as it was, British Home Stores, having just travelled from where she lived in Clydebank and been travelling up and down to Ayrshire, where she went to university, and still keeping a job afloat at a time when she also suffers from a physical disability. I just saw somebody who was a great potential person for making Scotland an even better place. And as an employer, we have a role, we have a responsibility to ensure that people like Lucy get the best from life. And I never forget that Lucy also had her wedding at our centre at Rookinglen. So it's a very personal story. And if we fast forward from that 2016 to the end of 2021, Lucy took part in an emerging leadership programme in London last week through changing, it wasn't, I can't remember which one it was, Common Purpose, fully funded by American Express organisation. And like all these young people that we hear from, the progression that's happened has been absolutely immense. I think why it's hugely important to us at Young Enterprise Scotland in terms of engaging young people within our team, not only because our primary service user is young people, but it's part and parcel of our way of making sure that we are relevant to the audience that we serve. And one of the key things I say to all the team at Young Enterprise Scotland, for anybody that comes to work with us as a young person, that in the significant, well, just about in every case, we are their first employer, and we have a duty and we have a responsibility to make sure that that first experience of employment is a good one, because that is the only experience that they will have had. And if we set a bad example at that very first juncture, as they venture into the employment market, and we need to make sure that they get the support that they need. And it's critically important. And I was thinking before we came on here today about the Community Jobs Scotland approach to life, and we've been engaged with Community Jobs Scotland for probably 6, if not 7 of those years. And Young Enterprise Scotland is a better organisation. It's a better place to work because of our engagement with Community Jobs Scotland. It's been a two-way street for the relationship. It's not been something where one organisation has ever had the upper hand in this. It's very much been a partnership that we've worked on together. And if I think back and look at our organisation today and some of the positive outcomes that we as an organisation have because of our engagement with Community Jobs Scotland, we are an investors in young people organisation, and we are currently gold, and hopefully within by this time next year we will be a platinum organisation in terms of engaging young people. We've also, because of the engagement of young people within the organisation, we now have 2 young trustees as part of our board of directors. And these are not token trustee positions. These are fully engaged trustee positions where we have a 19-year-old and a 20-year-old who have been recruited through the same process that would happen for any other trustee. But they are going to connect the activity and the services that we deliver right through to that highest level of governance of our wonderful charity. I think of the way in which our team now works and the way that we now think about the young people who have come through CJS to be a part of the team. And one of the people that Michael knows, who we saw briefly on that video with Lucy, Mark Armstrong, he has it in his DNA to make sure that any young person that comes to us through CJS or any other similar type of project, that they get an experience. And it's about the fact that those young people should move on to the next step in life in a far better place than they were before. And I think that the fact that we've now got a policy within the organisation that we follow that says we require to have a percentage of our young people who are going through CJS or appropriate similar projects, that's now written down in black and white and accepted by the Board of Trustees and the leadership team. And I just wanted to sort of close up with another example of a young person, and there was nothing prouder for me than this a week ago today, when we had our Christmas lunch. It was Christmas evening meal actually in I'm not giving them a plug, but Mars Santa in the centre of Glasgow, and we had every member of our staff team there. We had a few of our volunteers from Rook and Glen there. But Young Enterprise Scotland is a values-driven organisation. Values decisions are made based on values, and we handed out our values awards. Now we had 26 nominations for people within our team, 26 nominations for people who have gone above and beyond in terms of their delivery of their objectives, their roles, by demonstrating the values that we have, the 4 core values. And nothing pleased me more that one of the recipients of those value awards was a young man called Ben Garrity, who is one of our current Community Jobs Scotland young people. And Ben somebody nominated Ben because of the outstanding way in which he had supported a young person from one of our programmes who was on site at our centre at Rook and Glen. And somebody spotted what Ben had done to support this. And it was because of his understanding of that young person's position, situation, some of the background circumstances to that young person. And Ben took it upon himself to make sure that that young person was confident and secure and feeling warmly welcomed at our centre at Rook and Glen. And to me, that demonstrates, you know, the value of young people within an organisation and the value of young people who have walked the walk, particularly of challenging walks of young people who are coming through to our centre. So Ben Garrity, who has gone above and beyond, we will continue as an organisation to look to ways in which we support young people. And I'd just like to close as well by saying none of this would happen and without the support. And one of the things that always happens to me is I pick up the phone to Michael or Debbie to say, can you help me with this, or can you help me with that, or I'm struggling with this, or how can I do that? What's the best way of doing something? And I think the support that we've had from Michael and Debbie over the course of recent years has been exceptional. So I'd just like to end on that note with a thank you and hand back to you in your well-decorated living room with a wonderful Christmas tree, Michael.
Thanks very much, Jeff. Value-driven Young Enterprise Scotland certainly are, and that's clear to see. It's a place I would advise anybody who's got a wee bit of time and they're passing Rook and Glen to make an appointment to go in and see the wonderful work that's done at Young Enterprise Scotland. My son had the privilege last summer of going to Young Enterprise Scotland. This was a young boy who didn't achieve anything at school, has his own problems, and through the support of Mark Armstrong and others, didn't miss a day, which was a first for Joseph, but has now stood him in great stead at college, where his attendance has been great, maybe dipped a wee bit, but that journey of his started off with the support of Young Enterprise Scotland. And I think that just emphasises the story that was told by Jeff, that we do need organisations to be engaged in employability and other programmes in the near future. We don't know what the future holds. I know there's been a few questions thrown in about what will local authorities do and what will LEPs do when this piece of work gets more devolved to the local areas. And I think that hopefully today will have allowed people to see the benefits of Community Jobs Scotland and the third sector and the young people that we work with. I'd just like to pose a question to Fiona first. So I hope you don't mind being thrown in the spot, Fiona. Could you give advice on how best to engage with local authorities and the LEP? Because I know that you have great success with your co-executive, the other Fiona, sitting on the LEP. Can you give any advice to local organisations how best to engage with the local authority and LEP regarding employability? Sorry, and that's the Fiona Perret.
Hi, sorry, I've got a really patchy internet connection. I kind of lost half of what you said there, Michael. I think I think I've got the gist of it. As I say, we have been lucky enough to have a good working relationship with our local authority. I think it's invaluable, the type of support we can give to young people in the third sector. I think all the organisations that I've been on have got excellent case studies. We've got really good success rates for moving young people on and giving them the training, mentoring and support that they require. And my worry is that as we do move on, a lot of young people will lose out if local authorities don't even know who they're volunteering, who the third sector organisations are that can offer volunteer and work experience, training options, job placements to young people. So I think it's just, we need to get our voices out there and make sure that our local authority knows exactly.
Oh, I think we've lost Fiona.
All link in together through different meetings that we all have and that we're involved with. And oh, you lost me again.
Yeah. I'll maybe ask Jeff if Jeff wouldn't mind coming back in, because I know the networks that Jeff operates in, that maybe how the voluntary sector employers can stay involved in employability, particularly those that maybe aren't employability providers.
I think there's still a lot of unknowns with that in terms of what will happen next. But to me, the tact I'll be taking is one of demonstrating the difference that we can make. And it's about ensuring that that message gets across to local authorities, LEPs, all sorts of people, you know, that actually the value add of the engagement of a third sector organisation with young people is huge. And I think, Michael, you have heard, and we've seen some fine you know, case studies today. I hate that phrase, case study, but you know, because it sounds like they're being put up. These are real lives that have been transformed, and we need to demonstrate that by working with the third sector, or you know, we're changing young people's lives. It sounds cliched, but it's absolutely true, and it's critical.
Well, thanks, Jeff, and thanks, Fiona. Cherie, I've just seen your post, and we definitely will be in contact with you. SCVO have a good relationship with the TSIs, and we have a gateway through one of our directors in Lorna to engage with you. But we certainly will pick up on your offer, and we can work with some excellent organisations in D&G that we work with. Some of them are involved with yourselves, but definitely we would be more than happy to make links with you and with the working with you and the LEP. And again, other organisations present today, your local third sector interface may be a good route way for you to start that engagement and find out what's happening, to find out who's involved, who the contacts are, and how, more importantly, how to get involved. And I do like that the comment further up that mentioned it's all about people, it's not about programs. And I certainly think that the proof of the pudding is CJS and that. Any other questions? I would just like to pose a question that a question for two groups of people here, for the charities and voluntary sector, but also for the other bodies that are represented. So I'm just going to get the slide up, or Francis will get the slide up. And it's just basically regarding the future of employability. Can you answer no more than 2 sentences to the voluntary sector organisation? What is your ask of the public sector? But also for the public sector bodies, and there's quite a few represented here, from DWP to SDS to Scottish Government to local authorities. What is your offer for the voluntary sector? So if people just want to put that in the chat, a couple of sentences, just basically of your ask and what your offer is. And I suppose, again, it could be what your ask is of the voluntary sector, and likewise what the voluntary sector offer is to other bodies. So please feel free to use the chat to add to the conversation. I think that's a very valid point, Lorna, that we're now getting into the final quarter of the year before the new programs roll out, and there's still a lot of uncertainty. I think, just as Jeff said, there's a lot of uncertainty there, and we aren't very clear on what's going to happen. And I think, Mark, that's very, very true, that these things do come at a cost. But I think with the sector, what you do get is you do get value for money. Sometimes we're not given the funding that we require, but what funding we do get can go a long way. And I think that there definitely needs to be that financial support for third sector specialists to change disadvantaged lives. But I'd also add as well that there are a lot of employability, a lot of organisations that engage with us through Community Jobs Scotland that don't see themselves as specialists in this field, but they certainly have the empathy, and that one-to-one support has worked wonders. And again, annual funding doesn't work. We need long-term funding. And I think, again, Colin, just as you're saying, to listen to people with experience and those working in the front line. And what it is good to see is that we are now engaging a lot more with people with lived experience, and that certainly can help. And that's great, Neil, regarding the Young Person's Guarantee. It's a great offer, and I would ask that any third sector organisation that's engaging with a young person or want to engage with young people, contact Neil. He's just posted his email address.
I would agree with that. I do work with Neil on Young Person's Guarantee matters, and I know they've got great plans to build an opportunity tool for a one-stop shop, really, so that young people and employers and providers can find out what opportunities exist for young people and how to access them. And I know that's a big, big ask in an ever-changing environment. But if we nail that, then that's a brilliant starting point, which would address one of my points around simplicity and transparency of just knowing where the opportunities are and being able to access them.
As I say, I don't know if there's much more that we can add to today. I would just like to thank everybody for contributing and attending, particularly to the speakers, and to Lucy and Callum for being so kind as to let us make a short film to show here today, and we will use that in other events over the next few months. But again, as Lorna had mentioned, there are other platforms that we should maybe get involved in, maybe contacting your third sector interface, working closely with your local authorities. We can get you the LEP details that were posted earlier on, and the people who to work with. And also the Third Sector Employability Forum, for those of you that are third sector organisations, is a good means of engaging. But again, thank you very much, not just for today, but for all your support over the past few years in delivering Community Jobs Scotland. And I think that's it. And I'd just like to wish everybody a very happy Christmas, and hopefully we'll catch up, if not before Christmas, in the new year. So thanks, folks.
Thanks very much, Michael. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.